Sold by her husband to a feared billionaire, Elena's betrayal becomes her greatest asset as she rises to unimaginable power. When the past comes knocking, she's no longer a pawn. Now, what will she do with her husband? But before we start, if you guys like this story, please comment below and subscribe to Story. Storer, please hit the bell icon. Thank you. Rain hammered against the stained glass windows of the opulent ballroom, each drop a relentless beat matching the wild rhythm of my pulse. The chandelier swayed above, casting fractured light across the marble floor where the city's elite waltzed through a minefield of secrets. Their laughter and polished smiles masked the simmering tension that clung to the air like fog. I stood at the edge of the chaos, my silk gown clinging to me as if it, too, sensed the storm brewing inside. Across the room, Viktor Ivanov, the man who had once claimed me through a deal as cold as winter's steel, watched me with a gaze that pierced through the shimmering haze. His sharp features softened into a smirk, as if he already knew the moves I'd make in this twisted dance. The weight of betrayal pressed against my chest, but I squared my shoulders. Viktor's presence was a storm I had learned to weather, and tonight I wasn't the fragile woman sold off by her husband. I was someone forged in fire, ready to face whatever tempest awaited. And Viktor? He wasn't my captor anymore. He was the only man who had taught me how to rise. The music swirled around us, a hypnotic melody masking the charged undercurrent between Viktor and me. He moved through the crowd with the confidence of a man who owned not just this ballroom, but the world itself. Each purposeful stride sent ripples of unease through the gilded aristocrats who feigned indifference. My breath hitched as he closed the distance, his tailored suit impeccable, his presence magnetic. "You look stunning tonight," he said, his voice a low caress laced with danger. "But then, power suits you." I tilted my chin up, refusing to be shaken. "Funny, I was just about to say the same to you." A dark chuckle rumbled from his chest, smooth and intoxicating. "Still sharp-tongued, I see. I like that." Before I could respond, the crowd shifted, and whispers rippled through the room like wildfire. I followed their gazes to the grand entrance, where Marcus, my ex-husband and the man who had betrayed me, stood like a storm cloud on the horizon. "Elena," he snarled, his voice slicing through the music. "You think you can humiliate me and get away with it?" Viktor's eyes gleamed with dangerous amusement. "Looks like the past has finally caught up with you," he murmured. I straightened, my resolve unshakable. "Good," I said. "Let it come." The grand entrance doors stood wide open as Marcus stormed into the room, radiating fury. His presence shattered the elegant facade of the evening, silencing conversations and freezing movements. The man who once orchestrated my betrayal now stood before me, veins bulging with rage. My heart thudded, but I remained rooted, refusing to show weakness. Marcus's voice boomed across the ballroom. "Elena, you've made a grave mistake." His words dripped with venom, meant to humiliate and intimidate. Viktor's expression didn't falter. His presence beside me was a silent promise of protection. "Seems your ex-husband has a flair for dramatics," he whispered dryly. The crowd, enthralled by the unfolding scene, watched in anticipation. My voice was steady as I met Marcus's glare. "The only mistake I made was trusting you." Whispers rippled through the room. Viktor's hand subtly brushed my arm, a signal of solidarity. Viktor stepped forward, his presence commanding. "This spectacle is over," he declared, his voice sharp and resolute. Marcus sneered. "You think you can protect her?" His gaze flickered between Viktor and me. "She'll come crawling back." I met his words with a smirk, my voice unyielding. You're mistaken, Marcus. I'm not the woman you once knew. The weight of years of betrayal and growth pressed against my chest, but I stood taller now. Viktor's hand remained steady at my side, a symbol of partnership forged through resilience. Marcus's face darkened. He took a step toward me, but Viktor's presence was an unmovable wall. "Touch her, and I will ruin you," Viktor said calmly, his threat laced with deadly certainty. The tension was palpable as security personnel appeared, ready to escort Marcus out. My heart raced, but I maintained my composure. As Marcus was led away, I exhaled, the weight lifting from my shoulders. Viktor's eyes met mine, filled with something deeper than triumph, a promise of unwavering strength. The ballroom buzzed with curiosity after Marcus's dramatic exit. The elite, ever hungry for gossip, exchanged whispers behind champagne flutes. Viktor, unbothered by the spectacle, guided me toward a quiet corner. "You handled that well," he remarked, his voice laced with approval. I met his gaze, defiant. "I've had practice." He chuckled softly. "You're learning fast." His words were both a compliment and a warning. This world demanded strength, and weakness was preyed upon mercilessly. A waiter appeared with fresh glasses of champagne. I took one, the cool liquid steadying my nerves. Across the room, familiar faces from my past mingled, their judgment palpable. I wasn't the woman they remembered, timid, easily manipulated. I had changed. "You're thinking too much," Viktor observed. "Forget them. They're insignificant." His confidence was infectious. "You're right," I said, lifting my glass. "To new beginnings." He clinked his glass against mine. "To power." As the night continued, I realized that Viktor wasn't just offering protection. He was offering a path to something greater. And for the first time, I was ready to seize it. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Viktor's penthouse office. The city sprawled beneath us, vibrant and alive. Viktor stood by his desk, reviewing documents with laser focus. "You called for me?" I asked, stepping inside. He looked up, his expression unreadable. "Elena, it's time we formalized our partnership." I raised a brow. "Partnership?" He gestured to the leather chair opposite him. "You've proven yourself. I need someone I can trust to manage key assets." The weight of his words settled over me. This was more than an offer. It was a test. "Why me?" I asked. He leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Because you have what it takes, and because I've seen your potential." I considered his proposition, the implications swirling in my mind. Accepting meant stepping fully into his world, a world of power and high stakes. "I'm in," I said firmly. A rare smile tugged at his lips. "Good, we'll be unstoppable." As I signed the agreement, I knew this was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I would no longer be a pawn but a player in the game. The air crackled with tension as Marcus's fury flared. He stormed forward, his eyes wild with desperation. "This is your last chance, Elena," he spat. "Come back to me and I'll forget all of this. You won't have to live with the consequences." I took a deliberate step forward, my gaze unwavering. "Why would I ever return to you?" I asked, my voice calm but ice cold. "I've traded a cage for a throne, Marcus. There's nothing you can offer that would make me choose you." A stunned silence fell over the room. Marcus's face twisted in rage, and before I could blink, he lunged at me. But Viktor was faster. He moved like a shadow, stepping between us with practiced ease, his hand gripping Marcus's arm in a vice-like hold. "You've overstayed your welcome," Viktor said, his tone frigid and final. "Guards." The room seemed to hold its breath as security rushed in, forcibly pulling Marcus away. He fought against their grip, shouting threats, but it was futile. The doors slammed behind him with a resounding finality, and I exhaled, the weight of the moment lifting. With Marcus gone, the tension in the room dissipated, replaced by a quiet sense of awe. Viktor's gaze softened, and he reached for my hand. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice tender. I nodded, a smile tugging at my lips. Better than ever. Together we turned toward the future we'd fought for, unbreakable and unstoppable.